Hello everybody, Mike from Southern California again, and you're on the mic. So big news came out over the weekend as the deadlines for TCPA filings in the defamation case of Vic Mignogna versus Funimation, Jamie Marchi, Monica Rial, and Ron Toye came and gone, with Monica and Ron filing their TCPA on the deadline date of Friday, and Jamie filing hers on the deadline date of Saturday. So we're gonna look at those. We're gonna probably focus in on Kara Edwards' affidavit in particular. So here we go. So basically, they're arguing that the reason that their TCPA should be granted is because this is a classic slap case, classic case of a strategic lawsuit against public participation. Well, let's look at what they're listing as their factual background and also the affidavits of some of the other people involved in support of their motion. So first off, the first story they point out is Vic's supposed behavior back. They're pointing at one of the first things they talk about is Robin Michelle McCool Blankenship's McConnell Blankenship's accusation of Vic assaulting her back in 1989 at Lynchburg Christian Academy. The problem with this, though, is that this particular story has been debunked now 3 times. Okay? First off, when she first brought it up, the school themselves had not only did they not hire Vic, they would have never hired Vic. Okay? It was debunked a second time when they tried to come out with photos showing Vic there, but it's since been proven that those photos were photoshopped, and therefore to make Vic look guilty. And then Vic himself, in his own deposition, debunked that by saying he was at a different school in a different state. At the time, she was claiming he was at Lynchburg Christian Academy in Lynchburg, Virginia. But at the time, he said he was teaching, but he was teaching at Trinity Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida. So that story has been debunked 3 times. They're trying to use that as a factual argument in their favor. Then we come upon Monica. Then another story that they're using as a factual statement is Monica's claim that he assaulted her in our hotel room at IzumiCon in 2007. Okay, here are some problems with that story. One, she had a hard time at the beginning nail it down. She just said some con in the late 2000s. She never, late or mid 2000s. First off, could never nail it down. And the coup de grace just came out the other day when Stan Dolan, the head of that convention, he filed in an affidavit that 1, he didn't remember the incident as such. 2, if that incident did happen, he would have remembered it. And if that incident did happen, he would not have continued to schedule either of them. If there was some kind of issue between them, he would not have scheduled them. It was never brought to his attention that there were, and this is going to be important later, because in some of the accompanying affidavits, particularly in the affidavit of Faisal Ahmed, he had claimed that he had observed Vic's quote-unquote predatory behavior. But yet he never brought it. But while working at Anime Week in Atlanta, Faisal and Mr. Ahmed had never brought it to the board's attention, never brought it to Stan Dolan's attention, who was also a staffer there. never brought it to their attention that there was an issue there. And even when Faisal Ahmed took over the con in 2016, still scheduled Vic afterwards. So now the problem with Faisal Ahmed's affidavit as well is that it has since been discovered that he was actually arrested and charged for filing a false police report. The charges were dropped only because he stretched it out. They didn't want, basically they stretched it out and got the charges dropped because they didn't want to spend the money on a misdemeanor charge, which is filing a false police report is a misdemeanor. But the thing is here is that however, is that you're basically with Faisal Ahmed's case, you're standing on a situation where this man has a history. He's been arrested and tried as having a history of lying. Okay. The Lynn Hunt affidavit has basically said that there were issues at TCPA'S, but TCPA'S, the board has never said anything. She has an affidavit from another staff member, backing her claims up, but not from the board themselves. And I believe that Vic has been invited back to TCPA'S since the supposed behavior that she complained about in 2007. They're also trying to say that because he wasn't invited back like the next year or two of cons, that therefore he was supposedly banned from those cons. Not necessarily the case, because with as many voice actors and industry professionals out there, of course cons are not going to invite the same guest back 2 years in a row for the most part, because they want to give other people a chance to come and interact with their fans as well. So that whole argument kind of doesn't fall. Now, the next affidavit I want to look at here is Kara Edwards, because she keeps saying, well, you should read my affidavit, well, a lot of people have read your affidavit and have scrutinized it. And so I want to make some points here. First off, if what you're saying is true, then it should be able to stand up to scrutiny. But the problem is, Kara, is that your behavior contradicts your statements. Okay, we have video evidence of you doing the tango. You go, well, that's from 2 years earlier. Well, okay, no, that tango video is from Animazement 2008. I myself confirmed that. Okay, in the video it listed all the people who were on that panel. The guests who are on that panel, and I compared that versus 2006, and based on BPM Broly's suggestion, I compared it against 2005 and 2007 as well. Between 2005 and 2008, the only time you and Vic were at Animazement 2008 was 2008. Neither of you were there in 2005 or 6. You were there in 2007, but Vic was not. So the only time between 2005 and 2008 that you were even at Animazement, that you both were at Animazement was 2008. So that's one debunked lie. And then, now you claim, it's kind of hard to say, because supposedly you claim that the shower incident, I've based on everything we've been told, supposedly there are 2 separate incidences, But apparently you can't get the timeline straight. First off, you were saying it happened in 2008, two incidents happened in 2008, 2010, and then you're trying to say now that it happened in 2006, 2008. Okay, let's just take the earlier timeline in particular. That one seems the easier one to show. So you're saying that where he aggressively tried to bed you, as Perceptive Check stated, happened at the earliest 2006, where he so traumatized you that you had to sit there in a bathroom for an hour crying because he tried to aggressively bed you. That's what you're claiming happened. Okay? Well, if that happened as early as 2006, what happened between 2006 and 2008? I mean, if you were so traumatized, you would not have been initiating a tango with him. Okay? And then earlier today, before doing this video, as I'm doing this video on Monday, July the 22nd, I believe. Yeah, Monday, July 22nd. Here's when I'm doing this video. Okay. Earlier this morning, I saw something on Twitter that Perceptive Check brought up. A video of you at ShadowCon 2010 where you supposedly claim another assault possibly happened. But if you had a previous, even if you want to argue that the timeline is 2008, 2010, where you're saying that the assault happened, you're then trying to say the assault happened hours after the tango, or the bathroom incident. But yet, even if we're to say that the later timeline is in effect, where he aggressively tried to bed you was after the tango incident, okay, you supposedly are so comfortable at ShadowCon that you actually, you sit in between him and Kyle A. Bear. And in that video, you say, well, I touched Kyle too. Yeah, well, you could make the argument that maybe you were flirting with both of them. Maybe you were flirting with Kyle and with Vic in that instance. That argument could also be made. Your behavior betrays your statements. You sit here and you try to sit there and claim that Vic is this ravenous beast, this monster who's going around, harassing, assaulting, and raping women. Yet the way if he so traumatized you, why are you putting yourself in positions where you're close to him? In that one from ShadowCon 2010, you're actually leaning into him. You're putting your face in his back and shoulder. It's clearly shown that and in all these cases, you're the one who's initiating the contact. He's not initiating the contact with you. The tango, whichever timeline you want to try to argue, whether the shower incident happened in 2006 or happened in 2008 after where you said he aggressively tried to bed you and then he assaulted you, whether you want to claim that the timeline is 2006 and 2008 or 2008, 2010, your behavior betrays your statements. If we go with the earlier timeline, then you're basically saying that you apparently didn't have an issue with it after 2006 because you initiated tango and then later he supposedly tried to assault you again. If we go with the shower incident happening hours after the tango incident, and you're still apparently unfriendly, where you called him a pal at 2010, supposedly 2 years after he supposedly traumatized you so much that you were sitting in a shower having the water running trying to dissuade him from trying to, you know, to stay away from you. And even that, I mean, even, okay, let's say that the shower incident happened in 2006, your earlier timeline. Why would you even put yourself in a situation where you're in a room next to him in 2008? Just so many, you know, it's like every time you get caught in a lie, you change your story to try to fit your narrative. Timeline keeps changing. Every time anybody catches you in a lie, you change your story. Say, well, they're two separate incidents. They're two different. Yeah, but your timeline's still not all that consistent. First, the timeline was the shower incident happened in 2006, and then he assaulted you again in 2008, and then once that got debunked, oh, the shower incident happened in 2008, and then he assaulted you again in 2010. First off, your timeline's not even consistent. Every time you're caught in a lie, you just bolster down and just fix the lie, try to fix the lie, hoping that we're all stupid enough to fall for it. Now, it's kind of funny because you did respond to one of my tweets, but you didn't respond. But the one you didn't respond to is what I'm more surprised at. I noted, and this the tweet that where I think I'm probably up close to 100 likes now on this particular reply to you. And this is, I'm surprised because you're sitting there. Well, this is why 80% of women don't report sexual harassment or because they're afraid they're not going to be. Well, of course they're not going to report it because. Okay, this is what I basically responded to you. The one that I want to focus on here, that a lot of people agreed with me on because I got last I checked I had 96 likes. Maybe by now it might even be up over 100. But this is what I told you in response to that. Okay? Now, it wasn't in direct response to the actual quote where you were talking about the 80%, but I put it in another tweet, another response, in a response to another tweet you had, which is when you were talking about the two incidents. This happens when you lie and you stand on lies. When you lie, when you lie about sexual assault and weaponize it for your own purposes, you do the damage by creating an environment in which no victim is believed. It just takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch. So you sit there and say, well, this is why women don't come. Yeah, women don't come forward because there are people like Monica and Jamie and yourself who sit here, and will lie for your own, they'll lie about sexual assault and weaponize it for your own purposes. And this isn't a new strategy. This is a strategy that's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. Okay? I think one of the first instances we hear about it is the story of Potiphar's wife. Just go back to look through Genesis and the biblical book of Genesis, and you look at the story of Joseph. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers out of jealousy, and he eventually became a servant of an Egyptian by the name of Potiphar, and had gained great responsibility in his house, becoming one of his head servants. Potiphar's wife took a liking to Joseph, and she had tried to seduce him. He wasn't having it. He was not going to disrespect his master in that instance, or his God, by sleeping with another man's wife. One time when he was doing his duties in his master's chambers, Potiphar's wife cornered him and tried to again seduce him, bed him, what have you. He ran away scared. She got hold of a piece of his clothing and ripped it off and then started screaming. And falsely accused Joseph of trying to take advantage of her. And he got sent to prison for it. This isn't a new story, people. This is not a new story. What a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive, as well as hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. This is why allegations like this have to be scrutinized so intensely. And when people lie about him and they're caught in lies, they're caught in these lies, it hurts real victims. There are real victims out there who don't get believed because they're women. And people want to say, well, yeah, it's only 2%. Okay, first up, I don't believe the numbers because they keep throwing out a lot. They keep throwing out, like Kara was in there saying, that's why 80% of victims don't come forward because they're afraid of, or only 2% of allegations get proven false. Honestly, I think it's more than that because, you know, particularly with the Me Too movement driving it, I think women are more likely weaponizing sexual assault allegations. And they're taking it as, well, since people have had a history of not believing him, now we should believe every single one of them. And they know that all they got to do, you see, this is the whole problem with Me Too, this is the whole problem with all this to begin with. This narrative is that because they weren't believed enough in the past, now we have to, it's like an overreach. It's like, oh, now we have to believe every one of them, even though our society is built on innocence until proven guilty. And they keep saying, well, witness testimony is evident. Well, first off, it's not evidence unless it's sworn to in a court of law. It's not evidence until you testify in a court of law after placing your hand on the Bible and swearing that what you're saying is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, here's the problem. Affidavits are also sworn statements of truth. Okay? Depositions are sworn statements of truth. Losing the lawsuit at this point for a lot of these people is the least of their problems. By lying in depositions and on affidavits, they are committing perjury. Okay, they are committing perjury, which is a crime. Losing the lawsuit is the least of your all's worry now, because there's a good chance that you might end up in jail. Now, in Kara's case, she's been civil about it. She hasn't gone and block-botted people, and I know Yellow Flash has said we shouldn't tag her. And I don't make it a habit of tagging these people because you know you're not going to change their minds. You're not going to change these people's minds. Okay? We have to stop them. We can't expect to change their minds. They're going to keep doing what they're doing until they're busted. Okay? But what I will say is that I do on some level, I do kind of feel sorry for Kara. The reason I do is because, you know, she's a divorced single mother who feels the need that she has to destroy another man's life. And, you know, I mean, and on some level, we should feel pity on these people. I mean, yeah, what they're doing to Vic is wrong, it's evil, but on some level, you know, as Nick has talked about too, these people are broken, okay? So we should feel, at least on some level, some amount of, you know, pity on them. Kara, because she's choosing to continue this narrative and continue standing on these lies, she could end up at the very least, she could end up in a lawsuit, or $1 million lawsuit herself, and at worst might end up in jail, which would be sad for her child. You know, she's basically a divorced single mother whose only real well-known work is her Dragon Ball work. Yeah, she gets other work from Funimation, but she doesn't have a lot of prominent roles. Her most prominent roles are her Dragon Ball roles as Videl and Goten, and half of Gotenks. Okay? So those are her most prominent works. So you almost have to feel sorry for her in this situation. But even if you feel sorry for her, you still got to call her out on her lies. You still got to call her out on her, baloney. So with that being said, check out the links below. I've done some house cleaning because there are a couple links there that I think the campaigns were really over, and I had kept them on. But you notice I still have Vic's in there, and I have Tug's GoFundMe. I'm also promoting Fantasy Soft. As always, guys, when looking at Vic's GoFundMe, never feel pressured. Never feel like you have to give to the GoFundMe. Vic, none of us wants you to bankrupt yourselves to help out. If you can, please consider. If you can help, please consider. If it's on your heart to, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. Because as we move forward, Vic is going to need as much money as he can to go after these people to get his reputation back. Nick has commented on a lot recently that that money is how the court remedies the situation. Check out Fantasy Soft too. Check out their work as well. If you can't donate, it's understandable. At least share the link. Maybe you can share it with somebody who can donate. Please consider sharing it. And also, I'm going to try to wrap this up before it hits a 30-minute mark here. If you like this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I always look forward to the conversation with you guys. I also want to thank, I have 25 subscribers now, so I want to welcome whoever the 25th subscriber is. And I hope you guys continue to watch my videos. I look forward to the conversations. And until tomorrow, guys, let's keep the conversation going because you're on the mic. See you tomorrow.